"Why are you sleeping here, sweetheart?" What the little girl whispered broke the millionaire CEO. The rain hammered against the bulletproof windows of the black Mercedes as it glided through the empty streets at 3 a.m. Inside, Alexander Kane sat rigid in the backseat, his tailored suit wrinkled from another 18-hour workday. His phone buzzed incessantly with emails from Tokyo, London, and New York, but for once he ignored them. The numbers on his latest acquisition deal blurred together as exhaustion clouded his vision. At 35, he was worth $3 billion, commanded respect from world leaders, and could buy anything his heart desired. Yet as he stared at his reflection in the tinted glass, all he saw was a hollow shell of a man who hadn't truly smiled in years. If this story touches your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to Trillionaire in Love for more inspiring tales that will change how you see the world. Don't forget to share this with someone who needs to hear it today, and let me know in the comments what moments in life have changed your perspective. The car came to an abrupt stop as red and blue lights flashed ahead. A police blockade forced them to take a detour through the forgotten side of the city, where Alexander's empire of glass towers gave way to crumbling buildings and broken dreams. It was here, in an alley he would never normally see, that his driver had to pull over for an emergency call. As Alexander waited, tapping his fingers impatiently against his leather briefcase, a small movement in the shadows caught his eye. There, huddled against a rusted dumpster behind a stack of cardboard boxes, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old, with tangled blonde hair and a dirt-stained pink dress that had seen better days. What struck him most wasn't her appearance, but the way she was carefully arranging a makeshift bed from newspaper and an old coat, singing softly to a raggedy stuffed rabbit, as if she were tucking it into the finest silk sheets. Something inside Alexander's chest tightened. Against every instinct that told him to look away and mind his own business, he found himself stepping out of the car. The cold October air bit through his expensive suit as he approached slowly, not wanting to frighten her. "Hey there," he said gently, crouching down to her level. "What are you doing out here so late?" The little girl looked up with the biggest brown eyes he'd ever seen. Instead of fear, there was only curiosity in her gaze. "I'm making my bed for the night. Mr. Mama always said to make your bed nice and neat, even if it's not in a house." The innocence in her voice nearly broke him. "Where is your mama, sweetheart?" "She went to sleep in the ground last month. The nice lady from the building said I couldn't stay there anymore 'cause I'm too little and don't have money for rent. She said it so matter-of-factly, as if losing everything was just another part of life. But it's okay. I take care of myself real good. See." She proudly showed him her small backpack with a few crackers, a water bottle, and some crayons. Alexander felt his world shift on its axis. Here was this tiny human being, faced with circumstances that would destroy most adults, and she was singing to her stuffed animal and making the best of an impossible situation. "What's your name?" "Emma Rose Johnson. Mama named me after her favorite flower." She smiled, and despite her circumstances, it was the most genuine smile he'd seen in years. "What's your name, mister? You look really sad. Are you okay?" The question hit him like a physical blow. When was the last time anyone had asked him if he was okay? When had anyone looked past his expensive suits and platinum watches to see the man underneath? This homeless child, who had every reason to be bitter and angry at the world, was concerned about a stranger's well-being. "I'm Alexander," he managed to say through the emotion clogging his throat. "And you know what, Emma? I haven't been okay for a very long time." Emma nodded sagely, as if she understood burdens far beyond her years. "That's why you're sleeping outside too, isn't it? Not with a roof, but sleeping inside yourself where nobody can find you." Her small hand reached out and patted his arm with surprising gentleness. "It's scary sleeping alone, isn't it?" The wisdom in her words shattered something inside him that had been frozen for years. She was right. He had been sleeping, going through the motions of life without truly living, hiding behind walls of success and material possessions while his soul withered away. "Emma, you can't stay out here. It's dangerous, and it's going to get much colder." Alexander's mind was already racing through possibilities. "Would you like to come with me? I know a place where you'll be safe and warm." For the first time, uncertainty flickered in her eyes. Mama always said not to go with strangers, but she also said angels come in all shapes and sizes, and maybe you're my angel tonight. As they walked toward his car, Emma slipped her small hand into his, and Alexander felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: purpose beyond profit margins and acquisition deals. His driver, Marcus, took one look at the little girl and wordlessly began adjusting the heat and finding a blanket from the emergency kit. That night, Alexander called his assistant and had the penthouse guest room prepared. But more importantly, he sat with Emma as she ate her first real meal in weeks, listening to her stories about her mother, her dreams of becoming a teacher, and her unwavering belief that everything happens for a reason. Over the following days, as Alexander worked with social services and his legal team to become Emma's guardian, he discovered that caring for her wasn't a burden. It was an awakening. Her laughter filled the empty spaces in his penthouse that no amount of expensive art could warm. Her questions about why people were mean to each other challenged him to look at his own business practices. Her bedtime stories about heroes who helped others made him realize he wanted to be her hero, not just another wealthy man who wrote checks to ease his conscience. The challenges came swiftly and relentlessly. The media questioned his motives, suggesting it was all a publicity stunt for his company's image. His board of directors worried that his newfound softness would affect his business decisions. Some friends distanced themselves, uncomfortable with his transformation. Social services required extensive background checks, home studies, and psychological evaluations. There were nights when Emma woke up crying for her mother, and Alexander held her, feeling helpless against her grief while battling his own fears about being enough for her. The biggest challenge came when Emma's biological father, who had abandoned her and her mother years earlier, emerged from nowhere demanding custody when he learned about Alexander's wealth. The legal battle was brutal, with newspapers painting Alexander as a billionaire trying to buy a child while portraying the biological father as a reformed man seeking to reunite with his daughter. During the court proceedings, Alexander watched Emma's bright spirit dim as she was pulled between conflicting adults and their agendas. It was then that he realized the most important lesson she had taught him: love isn't about what you can provide materially, but about showing up consistently with your whole heart. In a moment that surprised everyone, including his high-powered legal team, Alexander addressed the court directly. "Your Honor, 6 months ago, I was a man who had everything money could buy and nothing that truly mattered. Emma didn't ask to be rescued. She rescued me. She showed me that real wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in moments of genuine connection, in the privilege of watching someone you loved grow and learn, and in the courage to put someone else's well-being above your own interests." He turned to look at Emma, who was sitting between two social workers, her stuffed rabbit clutched tightly in her arms. "If the court decides that her biological father can provide her with the love, stability, and emotional support she needs, then I'll step aside. But I want everyone in this room to know that this little girl saved my life by asking me if I was okay when she had every reason to only worry about herself." The custody hearing revealed the biological father's true motives when it came to light that he had substantial debts and had approached several media outlets about selling his story. The judge awarded full custody to Alexander, but by then the decision felt secondary to the transformation that had already taken place in his heart. 1 year later, Alexander Kane was a different man leading a different kind of company. He had restructured his business to focus on ethical practices, living wages for all employees, and partnerships with organizations serving homeless families. His penthouse had been exchanged for a house with a backyard where Emma could play and invite friends over. He coached her little league soccer team, attended every school play, and discovered that the best business deals were the conversations he had with her over breakfast about her dreams and fears. The most profound change came in how he approached success. Where he once measured victories in market shares and profit margins, he now found his greatest achievements in Emma's report cards, her laughter during their weekend adventures, and the way she confidently introduced him as "my daddy" to anyone who would listen. Emma, meanwhile, blossomed into a confident, compassionate child who started a kindness club at her school and insisted on volunteering at the homeless shelter every month. She kept her raggedy stuffed rabbit, now named Hope, and would tell anyone who asked that it reminded her that beautiful things can come from the most unexpected places. On a quiet Sunday morning, as they sat together reading in their garden, Emma looked up from her book and asked, "Daddy, do you remember that night when I asked if you were okay?" Alexander set down his newspaper and pulled her close. "I remember everything about that night, sweetheart. Why do you ask? Because that was the night we both stopped sleeping and started living, wasn't it?" Her words, spoken with the same profound simplicity that had first broken through his walls, brought tears to his eyes. Yes, Emma rose. That was exactly what happened. The little girl who had once slept on cardboard in an alley had not only found her forever home. She had awakened a sleeping soul and shown him that the greatest fortune isn't what you accumulate, but what you're willing to share. In asking a stranger if he was okay, she had saved 2 lives, his and her own. Their story became a testament to the truth that sometimes the smallest voices carry the most powerful messages, and that real transformation begins the moment we stop sleeping through our lives and start paying attention to the angels disguised as ordinary moments of human connection. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey of love, transformation, and hope. If Emma and Alexander's story moved you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Billionaire in Love for more stories that celebrate the power of human connection. Share this with someone who might need a reminder that we all have the power to change lives. Sometimes we just need a 7-year-old to show us how. Leave a comment below about a time when a child taught you something profound about life. And remember, the greatest adventures begin when we stop sleeping through our days and start truly seeing the people around us.